the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs. And this is what's happening.
The one that's going viral?
No.
I heard a different one.
Yeah, let me play the other one.
People on television.
All right, remix.
I'm using the
Remix.
picture function.
They're eating the
This
dogs.
is my favorite.
Yeah, this is the one I
They're
heard.
eating the
This is
cats.
such a vibe.
This one is more vibey though.
This is
Such a vibe.
You wouldn't
the
play this
people
one when
that
you're about to
live
like listen.
there.
Oh, that was a
right?
good open, but now we're
They're
in the
eating
groove.
the dogs.
Yeah, this is Kif. This is the
This
This is
guy.
like actual incredible production.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Look at that percussion. He's just nailing it.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people.
I didn't hear this one
that live
before.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is
They're
incredible.
eating the
This has like
dogs.
60 million views.
Yo, you auto-tunes the husky.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the
Kind of a banger.
It's a huge banger.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
All right, fade
This
me
is
out.
the one I
fade
was
me out.
telling you I sent to my dad, and he was just like, "This is a very talented man." That was an incredible song. Like he was just like,
No political
"This is-"
commentary, just
Nah, he
it's a
was
great
just
song.
like, "That is good music."
It's cool because he's donating like all the stream proceeds to like some animal shelter in
Yeah,
Springfield.
the freaking level up for this guy. Like he already had some followers, but this got so many downloads and views.
I mean, I think he's already raised like 15 or 20 grand for
Whoa.
the animal shelter, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Just his version of Loan, because when something goes viral, people download it and then they'll republish it. His one has 10.4 million views, but I think if you stack it all up, it's probably like 50 million plus. Yeah.
Wow.
Good for you, the Kifness. We'll include a link for people. We started doing that, by the way. We started including links to all the stuff we show in the show notes per the request of Eric Puncher and many others. So
Nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
check out the links. Hi, guys.
Hi. Cheers.
Yes.
Salud.
Cheers.
Just.
Salud. What are you boys drinking over
Clink
there?
me. Clink me. Long distance
Clink, clink. Short-term clink.
Yeah.
What are you drinking over
Yeah,
there?
what are you drinking, Mr. Faster?
Diet Coke.
We got mules. Oh,
Yeah.
lame.
Nice.
It'll do.
Nice.
Feels, feels
You could,
adventurous.
you could throw a little, vodka
I
in
might, maybe. See
Yeah.
how we go.
there.
I'm already kind of sauced. This isn't good.
Okay.
You did a heavy pour.
Couple of heavy pours.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be fine. That's the key to a great episode.
Me,
2 drink minimum.
Me not sober. Yeah.
So you did a 72-hour fast.
yeah.
And you
like
basically
you.
did what I did, except no bone broth, sub EVOO.
Yeah. Did olive oil. Found that I was reading more on the autophagy phase because that's why I wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Try to kill some bad cells, maybe some pre-cancer cells. And autophagy is when your body starts basically eating itself. And
That doesn't
apparently
sound good.
the little bit of protein from the bone broth could shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole bunch, but enough where you're putting in the effort. Kind of want
Yeah, kind of like mutes
max
the-
benefit.
Yeah.
So I just did a teaspoon of olive oil, and it kind of like coats your stomach a little bit. It's a good little
You did one
appetizer
other
present.
thing differently, though. You broke your fast with chicken wings.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was adventurous. I was a little nervous there for a second today.
Bold move, Cotton.
You feel cotton.
My two go-tos were closed. I was gonna go order some eggs, and that was closed. And then I wanted some like beef patties. That place was closed. So
You didn't
You
listen.
feel okay?
You didn't listen to
I feel great.
Armand last week at all.
yeah, I know.
Well,
You're supposed to like eat a piece of fruit or something.
I ate
yeah,
16
fruit
chicken
would've
wings.
I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I feel great.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay, that's good. Well, good. So would do again as you did? Like
yeah. I
recommend?
think like good instead of stop eating Sunday at noon. Maybe just eat dinner on Tuesday for like a 80-20 of it. But yeah,
I'm going
Would
to
do
do it
it
again. I already set a reminder 2 months from now. I'm going to do it every 2 months.
my fiance says I'm no fun when I'm fasting.
Yeah.
We don't get to eat dinner
Yeah.
together. She says I'm a little grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a little grumpy, a little intense.
Totally.
Lay off me. I'm starving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but otherwise it was good.
Nice.
Are we doing
Nice.
life updates?
Yeah, let's do it.
We got a request in the
Yeah,
Discord.
let me throw up the. Let me pull up the comment here if I can find it from Tyler. Here we go. Tyler, JDO, what's good, bro? Would love to get a life update from the hosts. Armand, how is Rumi doing? Any steno updates? Nick, any more deets on real estate deals and wedding planning? Steven, how are you feeling? Any more thoughts on the future? Eric, when Tao de Eric releasing on paperback or
Yeah.
hard cover? LOL.
Never hard.
Yeah, it's a great question. We have had many people say, like, give us a little bit more of the personal life updates. So, Eric, why don't you kick off?
Well, big news, guys. Big news. Little EJ or EJ Ina on the way.
Hey, buddy.
EJJ.
Yeah, a little baby EJ is brewing right now.
Yep.
We just got the reason why I was like reluctant to share the news is because, you got to reach this certain threshold in the timeline, right? Like where you know that there's like a healthy fetus. And we just got today the scan that gives with like 99% probability or whatever certainty that like the chromosomes are all healthy and we got a healthy little baby. And
That's amazing.
they gave us also the gender
Oh
in,
my God.
in an envelope.
Oh
Wait, do
my
you know?
God.
We haven't broken the seal of the
can't
envelope.
wait for this.
So we don't know yet.
Are you gonna do a reveal or just open it up?
We're unsure,
Okay.
but I thought that like the envelope gave us the optionality, like to break it tomorrow if we want to, or
Okay.
to like surprise.
We
a
could
little
set
bit.
one of those fancy gender reveals up or something, like toss you a tennis ball, you hit it with the racket. And yeah.
I don't know that I want to do the full pageantry,
Yeah.
but maybe like a small gathering or something, guys.
That'd be
If
fun.
I'd
if
have
you're
a
into it.
blast.
Yeah,
I want to be on the other side of that. Yeah, it's exciting, dude.
Yeah, I'm also like I talked to Mina about it today. I was like, we're gonna pick this envelope up tomorrow. Maybe we just like rip it tomorrow. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do it either way you do it is gonna
Yeah.
be amazing, bro. You'll never forget it.
Yeah.
I'd want to rip that shit
That's
open
awesome.
immediately.
I know.
So
waited too long.
you've been through this, and I was fucking nervous, guys.
Yeah, say, how are you
Mm-hmm.
feeling now? Like, how are you feeling today?
Like I feel like I don't know what I don't know, right? But I feel like the biggest anxiety is kind of like relieved, because like I just want a healthy child,
Mm-hmm.
and all signs are pointing to that. So I was in the room with like the doctor, and like we're doing the tests and stuff, and he was giving me like real time kind of updates, and I'm like pacing around the room. I was like, can I stand? Like I'm so uncomfortable and like just had so much nervous energy. I was like, can I go for a run? It was a lot.
That's exactly
pretty-
how I felt.
Excruciating to go through.
A lot of energy.
Yeah, and like I'm just not used to having that anxiety because I'm like a pretty low stress guy, and this one hit me in a
Interesting though,
unique
right?
way.
That it's bringing up new stuff.
Yeah,
Like it's like
yeah.
a whole different dimension of life.
And I'm like trying to rationalize it in my brain. I'm like, okay, so the stats are, pretty favorable, and this is outside of my control. So like, what's there to be nervous? Like, what can I do? Like, this energy is not serving me in any way, but I just couldn't suppress it.
Did
really.
you listen to the audio clip that Armand sent
Yeah,
to you?
yeah.
Yeah. What book was that?
Some book about a whole other topic. I think it's a memoir by some guy. Some
Great clip
actor.
for
But the
new
clip is
fathers.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I threw it in the life or parenting channel, I think, as well.
In the Discord.
Yeah. If anybody's curious, but yeah, when my friend sent me that when we first found out that we were having a baby, and that changed a lot for me. Like, it's like there's a lot to be nervous about, worried about, but there's a level of joy that you have never fucking felt in your entire life that you are about to experience.
Yeah, I
And-
think like the highs and the lows get more
Yeah.
volatile, right? Like
Yeah.
I normally live in like this sort of like level
Dow
7.
Day Eric.
yeah, level 7, and I was experiencing like wider variability.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you got some news too, sir?
I might as well go. We heard you got pregnant, so we're like, fuck it, let's do the same.
Number 2.
So number 2 on the way.
Cheers, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. Cheers to you, bro. So we got 2 alfalfa dads now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. So ours are due in the same month,
March.
March. And I already know the gender of mine. So we're having another girl.
Girl dad.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. 2
Your
girls,
wife's
baby.
family is all women.
All women. All women.
And all of our
I've
friends
never been around like this level of.
all of our friends have daughters too.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be just like constantly crying, just constant. Like I'm gonna be surrounded by estrogen. Thank God I have Mushi. We'll go on our little guy walks or something.
Bachelor times.
Let's go do drugs, Moosh. But no, I'm really excited. I had a feeling that I would have another girl. I had a feeling about the first one too. I knew it would be a girl.
Does this feel any different than the first time? Like at this stage?
Oh, definitely. It feels very different. It's much less nerve-wracking. You've been through it, so it's like you kind of know what to expect. All you really care about again, all over again, there's definitely some anxiety about health of the baby and making sure mom is healthy, baby's healthy, and you're always on edge as a dad. It's not like you're doing anything. The mom is doing all the work and carrying the baby and feeling it. So I think the clip talks about this that I sent, right? It's like the mom is more connected to the experience, but
No
the
doubt.
dad is just like on the outside, just thinking, worrying about all the things because you're so disconnected from it physically. So, yeah, it is different the second time though, for sure. First time is insanely life-changing and exciting. The second time is just like, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait to have a baby again. Because Rumi's like a year and a half, over a year and a half, 20 months almost. And like, she's
She's
not a
growing
baby
so fast.
anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking back at Rumi's pictures of her being a baby and like a little nugget thing and then does the little swaddle thing. And I'm like, I miss that.
I miss that. I miss that little nugget.
Yeah, well, you're about to get it. So every phase is amazing. And yeah, we're very excited.
Wow. So you guys have babies due roughly
Within
the same
a couple
time.
weeks of each other. Yeah, his is like 2 weeks right after mine. I think.
Yeah.
Steven and I have some options expiring in about 9 months. I don't know. I don't think we have anything else, any life updates to compare to those.
Yeah, we can just move on.
Nick,
got-
you're gonna be reciting some vows soon.
Yeah, some vows soon. So end of October, we're eloping in Joshua Tree. Got everything set up. Nice and easy planning.
She's making an honest man out of you.
Yep. We are going to be, like, you get a permit to go actually get married in the park. And it's like an elopement permit. So we're actually going to go drive into the park. My buddy's going to officiate. And then there'll be a photographer. And we're still doing, like, full tux. And she's got a wedding dress. So she's a photographer. So I'm pretty sure the photos will be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'll try not to mess them up, but yeah, got like desert background with some.
Which is, I can picture her style of photography. It's gonna be like right up her alley.
Oh yeah, right at sunset, all the natural light, and yeah, it'll just be like a short but intimate ceremony, and then we're gonna hang out for the rest of the weekend in Joshua Tree. So I'm excited. Like I just want to get there already, and you know,
You got any
Do it.
pre-wedding nerves brewing?
not yet. Should I? Will I? Because I don't have any now.
What about the planning stuff?
It's been so easy.
It's just been easy.
Yeah, there's like 7 things. Like get the permit, ask Daniel to do the officiating. We're going to a little sushi lunch tomorrow to discuss our ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's gonna knock it out of the park. Too.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, just gonna tell him like, just give us some advice, and then we'll say some vows and we'll do it up. So I'm
Cheers,
excited,
man.
Yeah, salud.
Congrats in advance.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
What's going on in your life,
Good
Steven?
updates, boys.
Been
How's your emotional state since
increasing the testosterone.
couple episodes ago?
IT.
You know, we're stabilized maybe.
Great.
Accumulation phase.
That's progress.
I mean, I have just spent so many hours staring at charts in the last 2 weeks. Like I feel like
We
my
were all
eyes are
hanging out.
bleeding.
Was it last weekend? You
Ugh.
went home because you need to get up at 4 a.m.
I've
to.
been getting up at like 4 or 5 a.m. like every day, scalping the 5-second chart.
Man's locked in.
So, yeah, I'm a bit of a zombie, to be honest. I did get a brain scan back, and I don't obviously have Parkinson's, so that's good.
Okay, congratulations.
Well, they said I couldn't rule it out completely, but I'm probably good.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we
still
don't
no
deal
idea
in-
what's going on here, but you know.
Okay.
Oh, it was
The yips.
you did it for
Yeah.
pickleball.
What's that?
You did it for pickleball. It was for the yips.
Yeah, I mean it's not just pickleball, sadly. You know, can't play skee ball. Like if I played skee ball, I would throw the ball into the ceiling. It'd be crazy.
It's
You'd
just
be
that
like,
that motion is just completely fucked.
oh yeah, it's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there any just like a normal mundane thing in life that you would do using like that hand motion? Where
Can you
like,
flush the toilet? Like, I mean, like, well, yeah,
Oh god.
there's got to be a bigger life impact than your skee ball game.
Yeah, toilet flushing's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, seems to be mostly confined to
I just imagine him like in the
things.
kitchen, like making a steak, and he just throws the pan.
Amber, help!
He's like trying to flip his eggs. Just launches them to the ceiling.
Oh man.
But that's good. Stabilized.
Feels good.
I don't know if it's stabilized. My
No,
mood
I
is
mean,
stabilized.
you're trading and zone that you're in. You're talking about, generally speaking, the update. You said stabilized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So I
good,
wouldn't
though.
say it's like amazing, but
Stable is very good. That's a big
Stable
upgrade.
sounds great.
Stable's a very good.
Could
place
just
to
be a long bottoming process before we go into expansion.
Eric just
mode.
wants to put your emotional state on a chart.
stable underwater.
I'm trying to talk in terms he understands.
Position is in the red, but it's it's not getting more red.
All right, let's get this show started. Welcome to the Alfalfa Podcast, everyone. We are live on YouTube like we are every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Got the whole crew here, Eric, Armand, Steven. I'm Nick. What's up to everyone in the chat? Everyone giving some congratulations out to the boys.
Thanks,
Love that.
guys. Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
All the
you.
links are at alfalfapod.com. Like the video if you haven't already. And what are you drinking here today, sir?
Seems like everybody's going a little bit rogue.
Went
but
rogue on you?
I brought
I had 2 mules, man.
yeah, I brought
If I
Moscow
have 3
mules.
mules, it's gonna be a weird podcast.
I think mules to me are like one of my tried and true go-to cocktails. Like when I like go up to the bar and I'm sometimes like in like tequila soda, I just know to do that. And then like other times I'll get a beer, but then sometimes when I like don't want either of those things, I'm kind of like panicked. I'm like, what do I do? And then I basically just go Moscow Mule.
I saw you got the handle of Tito's, so you looked at the 5th and you're like, may not be enough.
No,
That's a big bottle.
I had 2 handles and one was completely full, and this one was like
Oh, okay.
3/4 full.
All right.
Okay,
So
I was
Fair
gonna
enough.
say,
It's like,
did
wow,
some
you think
damage
we're
there.
degenerates. All right, cool. That sounds tasty. I might dabble in that here in a bit. Let's give a shout out to our sponsor, zbiotics.com/alfalfa. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. we just ran out of the pre-alcohol probiotics. So it's also another reason I didn't start drinking because
Oh.
I didn't have any in the office.
Well, I just had a shipment get stolen from in front of the building.
No way.
Yeah.
And mine
And
got
so did
delivered to
you.
my house.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Well, no, I mean the other shipment.
yeah, the other shipment, the streaming equipment. Luckily, it looks like we're glitch free.
Wait, it gets stolen?
Yeah, outside the building.
Wait, they just leave it outside the building?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
problem number one.
They just left
In
it?
downtown San Diego in
They
front
just
of a
left like a
commercial
$600
building.
All right, well, let me-
piece of equipment just on the street?
Yes. And our precious Z-Biotics was in there. So yeah, you take it before you drink if your package doesn't get stolen, and make sure you don't feel all those other drinks. Comes out to roughly the cost of a drink at a bar, and yeah, definitely worth it. We use it all the time. I think it's best bang for your buck. So yeah, you can use the code Alfalfa at checkout to get 15% off your first purchase. So yeah, if you want to check it out, they have a little starter pack there. And if you use the code Alfalfa, you support the pod. So thanks, guys, for sponsoring. All right, boys.
Much to discuss.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed we haven't had like a dull week in feels like years, but it's probably been like months since
Do you
it's just
think
been,
that
like-
because we've talked less money-oriented topics?
No, I just have noticed. Well, maybe actually.
He used to fall asleep in the middle of our money segment.
So about those
I've
rate
just
cuts.
noticed, the state of the world. Like it's just like insane.
Yeah, it's
It's like
nuts.
dicks getting blown off, and then
Yeah.
like, you wake up and it's just something new every day. Every day.
Can we talk
a
about?
presidential assassination is like, okay, what's tomorrow? It's at that level now where things are just
It's another
constant.
Tuesday.
Is that a product of just like the speed of information? Has that changed? It's been pretty consistent.
I don't
Or
know.
have things just gotten
Presidential
more hectic.
assassination attempts seem pretty rare.
Is it an election year thing?
Might
It's just
be.
crazy.
We're just numb, man. Just like two assassinations in one summer, man.
It's just too
All right.
much. It's just too much.
I feel like we already passed that news curve already too. Like it's just like,
Oh yeah, everybody already doesn't care. It happened like yesterday, 2 days ago. I don't even know.
it's wild.
That's the speed of Twitter.
Can we talk about the Israeli thing?
Yeah.
This is straight out of a spy movie. Like I can't get over this. Like the planning, the execution, the like creativity. I mean, it's kind of messed up to call it that, but holy shit. Yeah, so if anyone hasn't seen the news, but it looks like Mossad tampered with some 2,000 pagers that they knew were getting distributed to Hezbollah members, and in one swoop they somehow detonated all of them at one time, blowing off eyes, limbs, pieces of bodies. They killed tens of people, it looks like. And then, the movie hits its like peak when that happens, and then there's like another peak when they were at least Hezbollah people realize the pagers are tainted, so they throw those away. They pick up the walkie-talkies, and then today those explode too. I just can't get over how intense and how crazy they are at executing this stuff. It's like straight out of a spy movie.
Yeah, it's wild. We had a lot of debates in the politics channel about it already.
Mhm.
Do you think this is like a more moral type of way to combat your enemy? Because arguably anyone who has it is a militant operator and very little civilian damage.
Yeah, I think 2 kids were killed.
Oh, they
So
were?
yeah,
Okay.
I think like last I checked. So that's obviously pretty shitty. I mean, Snowden I saw is like straight up tweeting that this is terrorism, and it seemed like a lot of people were echoing that sentiment. Kind of got me thinking about it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like part of me is like, oh, this is like kind of funny, and then also part of me is like, yo, this is really fucked up, and like I see
I think it's amazing.
all.
I
see all
think
sides of it.
10 out of 10 all around. Great job.
What do you think's amazing about it?
I thought I was like more laughing at the fact you thought it was funny first.
Yeah, I'm a little lost.
I
mean,
I think they did a great job. Like,
the idea of people who you think are like very bad, like all simultaneously getting like nuked, right? Like if you think about the stuff that's happened, like there's a part of your brain that is like gleeful about it. But the whole situation there is just also just so fucked up that it's like, yeah.
it's not only the like physical damage, the violent damage you do, but like the psychological damage on that whole organization. Like, they can't communicate with each other, and just they're like, wow, they're inside, like they know us as much as we maybe don't even know ourselves, and it just does so many things to destroy their organization. So, yeah, I mean,
Armand, you seem to have mixed
incredible
feelings about this.
I don't
operation.
think we have the space or time for it. I mean, you probably read my thoughts. They're more,
I would say I skimmed them.
yeah, they're more macro, almost, philosophical perspective on the whole matter of Israel and Palestine. I don't really have a lot to say about this, like, one situation. And I laid them out in the Politics Channel. That's how I feel about the whole thing. I think the whole thing is fucked. I think this is just one little thing that we can sit and examine the morality of, or the justification of, and then you can get lost in the sauce very easily of who's justified to do what, until you're in an endless pursuit of like, well, I was justified to do the thing that you did that you felt you were justified to do to me. And then you get back to the Stone Age, the first ever murder, and you don't really arrive anywhere. And so then the question becomes like, how do you deal with geopolitical conflict and differences of ideology when you have two sort of peoples next to each other that don't get along and have completely different worldviews? And that leaves you, I think, with like three options. It's like defense only, annihilation of the enemy, or you kill them with kindness. And I analyzed all of those, and I laid out my personal proposal for what I think the world needs, and how I think that one side will only ever behave a certain way, and this other side has the optionality. And yeah, I don't know. That's where I land with the whole thing. I think it's very complex. I don't have the answers, but I don't know. The whole thing is really sad. Like, yeah, kids are dying. Like, yeah, okay, it was a little bit more of a sniper in the sense that was cool in the sense that, like, if my objective is annihilation of my enemy, that's a very interesting and innovative way to use technology to do that. It also raises a lot of very important questions about how technology can be used and manipulated, and
That's
actually
the scariest
opens up
part, right?
huge concerns for me about any device that I'm walking around with, or technology at all, whether it be a self-driving car or a phone or a pager or a laptop. That raises a lot of concerns for me. So now you have to begin to trust the organizations, the countries that supply the materials for production and manufacturing of materials, and now the world is going to start to isolate even more than it already is isolating, because then you can only count on like local manufacturing for your goods. And so I'm going to stop there.
I can't wait for the documentary of this operation like 15 years from now.
Like how it
Yeah,
transpired.
like they like interrupted the supply chain. Somehow they knew exactly these pagers were going to these recipients. They probably had to do it under a time crunch. Probably were running tests on it for months.
Somebody had like an unbelievable meme where it was like Mossad pitch meeting, and it was like the John Hamm kind of meme, but he was just full like Orthodox Jewish attire, and it was just like pager bomb like on the whiteboard. I was like, oh god.
I saw the Intel logo. It said Mossad inside instead of Intel inside. That was my
Well, the
favorite.
good news is we don't purchase any electronics that are manufactured and sourced from an adversarial superpower, so we should
Yeah.
probably
Yeah, we should be
Right.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the terrorism thing, though, I think it's kind of a stupid take. Like, the targets were they're kind of military in nature, and yeah, it's like tragic that people died, obviously, but like if you look at like war and the sort of ratios of adversarial to civilian casualties, like it's like pretty surgical as far as that goes. But then
Compared to the 180,000 that have died in Gaza, yeah,
yeah, like it's
this is a lot better.
Yeah, but it's still like I don't know. The whole thing there is like shitty, and I don't have like I don't have any strong.
But if the
Insights
roles
on
were
it.
reversed, we would for sure be calling this terrorism, right? Like,
I don't know if we would, because like to me terrorism is like you just are wantonly like killing civilians. You know, like I feel like if you are explicitly like if they did this and they were just all IDF soldiers or something, it's like kind of hard to.
Well, that's the definition of terrorism, but it's not true that we only call it terrorism when it's that. We call it terrorism when it's the enemy.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, sometimes, but I
That's
think
what we
people
do.
like wouldn't take it. I think people like know what that means, kind
definitely
of. And
there is a definition of terrorism.
like yeah, like people will say shit all the time, but you know, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the
Why did Snowden think it was terrorism?
because he's like, look, they're like people are they're gonna be driving cars, they're standing in line behind like you know like a kid or something, and all that stuff is like definitely true. But also like if you're in a space where you're like, yes, we're going to strike and attempt to kill like 3,000 of these, like you know, people. Like once you've crossed that threshold, like a world where you do that and you kill 2 people, like in a military operation, you would be like, oh, that's like it's like a good quote unquote outcome.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mushi.
Did you read my little whatever you want to call that rant?
Your rant?
Yeah.
In the
I
politics
told you
channel?
I skimmed some of your stuff.
All right. So
I was busy.
you didn't get the full digest.
No, I didn't get the full digest. So
I mean,
if
it's
there's
partly what I said, but I didn't give the end of it. It's like I think it really the Israel-Palestine situation finally clicked for me, and not a full click, but like an initial click that I hadn't had before. Hamas and Hezbollah are never going to take any option other than these are religious fundamentalists, and they have been trained to fight a holy war, and they're going to continue fighting, and that's the only option they have. And every time you kill one of them, you create another one of them, maybe even 2 of them. And so fighting in general in that region, the reason it has continued for generations is because of vengeance. When you kill, you have to annihilate. And in this day and age, there's really no version of annihilation that can fully squash the enemy like the way we used to be able to do in previous ages, where, say, Genghis Khan could go and just completely annihilate an enemy and prevent any vengeance from occurring. You just can't do that anymore, because it just sprouts new generations of children who grew up with dead parents that were killed, and then their life becomes seeking vengeance. So then you have like playing pure defense, which Palestine, Hamas and Hezbollah are not going to do. And then you have killing them with kindness, which they're not going to do. So that leaves Israel. And what is Israel? Well, their cabinet is very, very conservative and not shy to engage in conflict and war. And they really want to make a statement, and they want to sort of defend what they believe to be justifications that they've transgressions. And so it's just going to continue to sprawl out of control. And Elon Musk has talked about this, and I think it's a great idea. It's like what Israel could do is actually turn the other cheek and kill them with kindness. And it's like, how could they possibly begin to do that? And that was a question that you posed in the Discord. And I gave a long laundry list of answers of the ways that they could do that. And it would just disarm, aggression is caused by threat of any kind or aggression in your direction. The moment that you remove that, it makes it difficult for the transgressor to like continue being aggressive. And they might continue, but that's at least a path that hasn't been explored in humanity. But I don't ever see the Israeli cabinet deciding to do that. That begins with people. People have to become conscious enough and evolved enough to demand peace. And then the government is simply a manifestation and a reflection of the consciousness of the people of any society. If it's popular for Israel to strike and kill, they will continue doing so. If it becomes unpopular to do so, they will have no choice but to stop, because they would lose power. And so I think everything for all of humanity, Israel, Palestine aside, begins with the people. It begins with the people. The people feel like we don't have a choice often, but we do. We can change the shape and the reality of wars around the world by saying something, doing something. So I don't know. The situation is is fucked. But
would
that's
love
the way
that. I would
that's the
love
way I
that.
look at it.
Yeah,
That's the way I look
that's
at
a
it.
nice view. I mean, I would love if it took that path. Can we talk about the tech side of it?
Yeah.
So, like, for a long time, I've thought that there might be at some point a shift back towards like really analog ways of life or devices or whatever, where like they're like unexploitable.
You want to show this as well?
Yeah. What are we reading here?
Just as you're talking, I'll show it.
Okay. So when these things were detonated, well, yeah. What? Maybe explain what you're showing.
They detonated crypto devices like hardware wallets.
Yeah, so this is the second. They're talking about the second attack, which was today. It says today's
Solar
attack on
panels?
Hezbollah didn't just
Oh
target radios to detonate, with reports suggesting that smartphones, intercoms, crypto devices, tickers, smartwatches, solar panels, and even some household appliances.
Appliances.
Okay. So household appliances.
Dude, this makes me want to live off the grid.
Within
how-
the homes of Hezbollah
With like no
members.
stove.
So like a household appliances, I think is, it's not stated explicitly here, but what I would imagine is these like smart devices, like
Yeah.
smart fridges and whatever. But like my thesis was that there would be a move back towards analog devices at large, including like a premium for like analog automobiles that are not like connected, etc. And what I'm wondering is like, after this event, is there any device that's actually safe? Or like, is everything sort of exploitable?
Well, if they went back to landlines, I imagine those would be pretty easy
Bro,
to tap.
They bombed pagers. These aren't like
Right,
modern,
pagers.
modern devices.
Right. Right.
So the answer is like no, nothing is safe if they're bombing you with pagers.
That's wild.
Like
Yeah.
1980s era technology, you know?
I mean, that's
Yeah, what do you go back to? Nothing. Untethered.
I mean, that's for sure the scariest
They
part of the
used
whole thing.
Right.
The
Telegram.
Dixie cup with the string attached to it.
Morse code.
Morse,
I actually miss those days.
Morse code days.
Yeah. It's a nice skill.
Remember back in the day?
Sitting in your bedroom. like,
Also, not getting as many messages as, I mean, you guys would love that. No text. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, Eric, you bring up the tech, like, that's crazy. It's concerning. First of all, the tech to do it, we've never seen this done before, like at this level. And it shows vulnerabilities. And I think the most interesting conversation that has come up is like how vulnerable technology is in the hands of, you might say it's in the hands of the right people right now in this situation because they're, whatever your opinion is. But what if it's in the hands of the wrong people? What if Teslas are overtaken and they all start crashing and people start dying?
Exactly.
What if AI is no longer benevolent and does this? What if AI just simply kills us all with the devices that are in our pockets? And that, I mean, this is interesting.
Well, it sounds like they injected some kind of chemical into the battery.
Yeah.
I don't think we should go too
Yeah.
crazy. Like they literally physically injected like explosives.
I know, but
It's
I'm
kind
just
it's kind of an
I'm
analog
I'm
attack.
future pacing it.
Yeah.
It is analog though. Yeah, it is analog. So it requires supply chain intervention.
Good reason to have control of your supply chain,
Which is why I think we'll isolate.
which we do not.
We'll isolate for sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
So what
Crazy
happens?
story.
What happens when you isolate? I mean, cost of goods go up for everybody
Yeah,
globally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the main.
I don't
that's
like
the main
either
thing.
option.
Yeah.
What, getting blown up or inflation?
Yeah.
It's a real it's a real Sophie's choice there.
All right. What's next? I see. Oh yeah, another Trump assassination attempt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. By the
By the
way,
way.
that too.
Go off, King.
I got nothing.
What? You put
But
the
I will
topic
tell
there.
you, I will tell you, the same thing happened the first time. I was glued to Twitter for like 24 hours, just like you were the first time. Like literally couldn't stop reading until I finally just shut it off and literally had to delete it and was like, I'm done. I'm done. I think I messaged you guys. I'm logging off Twitter and I'm buying a shotgun.
Yeah, you did. say
Yeah,
that.
Did you buy a
already own
shotgun?
not yet. Not yet.
I'm surprised you don't own a shotgun.
The
I know.
shotgun? Why the shotgun? That's the.
Hard to
I
miss
just
in a-
think that's the
That's the one.
defense move. And if I'm in the streets and it's like, zombies everywhere, I think I want the shotgun, not the handgun. I mean, I want both. I want to John Wick it, but the shotgun needs to be on the back, flip it over, just.
Yeah, you're right. Shotgun's the play, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be wielding a handgun.
No.
Kind of like I just pictured you as if my brain was like mid journey, and I just pictured you.
You just John
wearing
Wicked
like a
Armand.
trench coat and like having like all these guns on you. It was pretty cool.
We need to do that like mid-episode, just live producer just whipping up AI images on the screen. It'd be so good.
So you guys concerned at all about, possibly one of the candidates dying before the election?
Well, what can you guys like tell me what happened?
Oh, come on.
You have no idea what happened.
He's golfing.
Yes.
Is golfing.
I mean, just tell.
a guy was
I
in
got
the bushes.
I got
It's
the
a
gist.
fair question. Like
Well, I
people
don't
may
know
not
if I-
know what
Yeah,
happened.
so a guy basically stood out there for like 12 hours, had like an AR style rifle. He had some ceramic tiles like
Yeah,
up on a,
AK-47.
oh, an AK-47. Oh, I thought it was
and
AR.
an AK.
Yeah, an AK-47.
Modified.
So he was basically posted up like on the outside of the golf course, and when he was like coming off of like hole 5 or hole 6 or whatever,
In the bushes.
one of the Secret Service members noticed
Saw the
barrel out of the thing,
Started shooting.
unloaded 4
Damn.
shots at the guy.
At like a barrel in a bush.
Yeah, at a
basically.
barrel in a bush, just
Yeah.
let 4
Apparently
shots
the
go.
guy fired back.
No, I don't think he
I
did.
don't know if we did.
None of the shots came from him.
No, he didn't. He didn't
Okay.
fire back. He just ran.
Ran.
And
he's-
Left
Didn't-
his GoPro. He was going to record the whole thing, killing the president.
So the guy ran. The guy didn't get shot.
no, because he was in behind bushes and I don't know how far away the shot was, but anyway, he drove away.
Like
and
300, 400 yards.
Someone in the parking lot, I guess, got his license plate number and a picture of the vehicle, and within like 20 minutes, they found him on the freeway. He was stuck in traffic.
Yeah, they
and-
got him, and he's in custody.
And apparently, he is nonplussed about the issue.
He's blasé about
Blasé.
everything that
Yeah.
happened.
In court and in custody, just kind of like,
I've seen videos of the guy. That matches up.
He's a strange dude.
He's a strange dude.
Like he was in New York, in Ukraine, like trying to recruit people to like fight in Ukraine. His like hair is dyed like blue and yellow, like Ukrainian
yeah.
flag colors, and
He's very active in a lot of political things. A lot of conspiracies started that he's an agent of some sort. Unclear what's going on.
it's probably all just coincidence,
Motivation.
you know.
usually
It's
is.
probably all just
It
coincidence.
usually is.
Couple-
lone shooter, lone wolf.
Couple presidential
No
assassinations,
external-
a couple months.
Yeah.
You know.
Secret Service is getting much more sensitive about this now. I mean, they're firing into like a target they can't even see.
He
Yeah,
still
but they're
doesn't
also
have
not
full
because
support,
like
though.
they're not like even combing like the perimeter of like the golf
Yeah,
course because
Trump
he's like
only
not
has
president.
a one-hole perimeter, meaning the Secret Service agent goes up one hole ahead of where he's going to go and checks that out, and that's it. And the guy said I think this was the local police making the statement in that video, or maybe it was a Secret Service guy, but he was like, "Look, he's not the president, so we can't give him like
Well, the Secret
full
Service.
coverage."
So like
Yeah.
he's not the president. He doesn't have like normally president. You know they shut down the whole highway
The
Yeah.
golf
and they
course.
clear everything everywhere
Yeah.
you go. Like it's crazy. But like he's just walking around
candidate,
with just
yeah.
guys on him and
Dude, and what these guns can do from 500 yards or more easily would
Right.
just like nail him.
yeah, it's
Precision.
crazy. I mean the current administration should grant him full
Protection,
protection.
yeah.
If you
obviously.
think about 500 yards, again, 5 football fields is nothing for a gun like that. Nothing.
yeah,
It's not a big deal. That's really
That's
far
a,
away.
That's a far shot.
That's
but
a far shot. Well,
it's not that
It's not
far,
that
of, a
far of a
with
shot.
it.
you have a good scope and
Yeah, it's not that
it's
far of a
just-
shot.
It's just you know
so
you can do some damage.
I don't know. And then there's this gaslighting happening where they're basically blaming Trump for being shot because of his rhetoric. What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree with it. Nah, just kidding. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know.
What about blaming the
No.
assassin
No.
for
Eric.
shooting him because of the rhetoric of the left?
No. Come on. That's way too.
get in line, dude.
Yeah.
You need to get back in line.
Well, it's crazy that people defend these actions and say like, "Well, you had it coming.
I just don't think normal people
You had
really
death coming."
believe this. You know,
I don't either. I don't think normal people do, but I think the media clearly does.
Yeah,
That's the narrative.
It's just like
right now.
almost been beaten to death at this point. It's like, I think everybody out there who's like honest, like an honest actor, knows that like if this had like happened to Biden, like a couple months, like we'd still be talking about it. Like if there was a debate, like there wouldn't be zero questions asked about it in the debate. Like everybody knows this stuff to be true, and I just feel like I'm like just beating a dead horse at this point.
Are we? So what you're saying is there's Trump assassination fatigue.
No, there's just like the media is like biased and kind of dog shit fatigue. It's just like everybody like even people who are of like a rational like left-leaning bent like acknowledge this to be true, because a lot of these people have been
like the only
scorned by
journalist
the
that
media.
came out and said something that made sense was Chris Cuomo. I don't know if you guys saw his clip, but he was just like,
where he like apologized,
guys,
to
well, he
Trump.
was like, look, I'm not a Trump fan, but this is, if you're not condemning this, you will never condemn any behavior that's, we're talking about someone potentially being murdered, a presidential candidate being murdered. Like, you have to be able to distinguish the difference between not agreeing on policy and not wanting someone to die. Like, can we just start with that as a baseline here? Like, I know we're polarized, but can we agree that we don't need the other person to die?
No, we can't agree with that. And like, I don't know. It's like a not even that secret that like behind closed doors, like these people get together and talk, and like probably a lot of people we know too who are just ordinary good people. They're just would say like, yeah, the world would be a better place if somebody shot him. Like it's like a thing that a lot of people just believe. It's like so pervasive. you know?
Honestly, probably true, even with like moderates, like people that I consider moderate on either like on one side or the other. They'd drive like, yeah,
That just
would be
tells me
better.
what a threat he is. Like, regardless of whether you agree with him, it symbolizes the level of threat to the establishment.
It just symbolizes to me the level of threat that like the media is on like polarizing people, because there are moderates who are like now hoping for this outcome, even though they are like not actually that type of person.
Yeah. Like the programming runs deep. Like after the debate, like there are still like a lot of people in our Discord who are like smart people who like didn't know that the find people on both sides thing is like a hoax.
I know. I didn't know that was not common knowledge.
Like that has been so thoroughly debunked to the point where like there's like there's like a video you can look up where the full context of what he says, like he explicitly says like, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists
No,
who
he
should be
condemns
condemned
them.
completely. I'm talking
He
about
calls them
like
terrible
so they
people.
cut the clip off before that. That happened years ago, and everybody still believes it.
and they
Like
still,
people are
and
so
Kamala still
programmed.
says Charlottesville, as if it's not debunked completely.
Yeah, she did the Charlottesville. She did the bloodbath. They just did like the greatest hits of kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But it's like, it's like we're just like living in this giant like digital PR battle. Well, there's like no reality. There's like no objective reality anymore. Everybody's just like fighting on like kind of vibes.
No,
and,
it just
like, weird
feels
shit.
to
It's
me
just-
like-
it's bad.
It feels to me like there's like a corollary between what we talked about first, which is the Israel-Palestine conflict, and this political conflict, where it's like you want to do whatever you can to win, but then it's like, to what degree are you willing to go, and then what's like socially acceptable. It's like, I think that's
Very
like
true, bro.
it's the same on both.
Annihilation of the enemy.
It's the problem with demonizing people, like, because if you literally say somebody is Hitler, then all of your actions are justified, like right up to murder, right? Because you're murdering Hitler, right? That's why like everything has to stop short at a particular
Just
point.
The gaslighting drives me nuts, though. It's like the blaming for incitement of violence, but then that is literally the definition of incitement of violence. It's like, we're going to say all these things, that this person is a threat to democracy, and he cannot and needs to be stopped. Oh, oops. People are trying to murder him. Oops.
I got
He
some
brought it upon himself.
got some
Come
like
on.
emotional reconciliation regarding all of this. I've been rewatching House of Cards a little bit, and Yeah, Frank Underwood is the main character, and in the season I'm on, he's president. He's running for election, and during the season, like every single thing he does, policy oriented, foreign policy oriented, media, everything is around getting reelected. And when you see it like in its truth, it's a drama, like trying to show the the dirt behind the scenes. But when you see it acted out like that, you're like, okay, at least it makes some sense. Like that's all they care about is
It's
staying
like
elected.
and ends justify the means.
Yeah, and like
ideology.
it doesn't feel, it's not right. It doesn't feel
Right.
proper, but at least
That's the way that they rationalize it
yeah.
as they're going through it.
Yeah, and they're pretty dirty in that show, like going to war to get rid of scandals, personal scandals, things like that. But at least it's a way to reconcile it, even if you don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, neither of these people are the good guys. Like on either side. Like it's just definitely like very flawed people fighting stuff out. Like nobody has like the moral high ground to do any of this stuff at the extremes for sure. It's not good.
I just want the election to be here and for us to transition to whatever is the true winner. I just want whatever the American people decide and whatever the system as we have it today determines the winner. I just want that so badly.
Dude, like if Trump,
I just wanna get
if
this
Trump
over with.
loses, it's not going to be over. He'll probably fucking run again. Like we're going to go through another like 8 years.
At
of this shit.
82, 83?
Yeah,
I know.
dude. Just
That's actually true, man. Fuck, I didn't think about that.
like everybody should just be rooting for it. Honestly, 4 years, done.
get it
can't
over
run again.
with.
Just rip off the Band-Aid, man. Just get it over with. Just like let's like move on.
Probably true.
And then
He's
where's the, like,
relentless.
I just thought about so say we get through the 4 years of like say Trump wins, we get through his 4 years. The whole Republican Party, as far as I can tell, has like all been rallying around him. What happens to the Republican Party
J.D. Vance.
after him?
yeah.
It becomes J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Like the Republican Party has had this like interesting shift towards like populism. Like the sort of like Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell types, like these kind of like neocons, war hawks, Paul Ryan, very focused on like tax policy. These people are irrelevant. Like now you see like Trump and you see JD, like you got like Tucker, who's like a thought leader. These people are all populists. And it's like interesting because there's just this massive overlap with like the ascendancy of the left, which is also like left populism. Like in neither of these parties is like really actually like a believer in small government anymore. Like they actually both kind of want to use government to do
Right.
particular things. So it's like a weird, interesting time in American politics, and that's why you have this like huge overlap between like people who supported Bernie and people who are voting for Trump, and kind of vice versa, because they're like, there's a lot of overlap there in particular ways. Like Trump isn't like an old school Republican, and JD like definitely isn't. But like he seems like he is kind of like the future of where all this is going, and you see similar trends in Europe too, right? It's not just here.
Those are fluid dynamics, though, right? Because I even remember like back when we were young, like the Republican Party and the Democratic Party represented different things at the time. It wasn't always that it was just like small federal government was Republican. It was like
There's a like a JD Vance-esque bench warming up. Like there's Tom Cotton in the Senate. I think Josh Hawley is you could probably throw him in there. There's like younger guys warming up to kind of take that, probably without the mean tweets, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it continues.
Yeah, I just don't know if any of them are like the Republican Party has like a huge like intellectual deficit. Like there's JD Vance, who I think is a very smart dude, say what you will about him. But then everybody else kind of seems like a fucking moron, to be honest. Like
how about Vivek? Is he in the
yes,
mix?
yeah, like so Vivek is smart. Like I could deal with Vivek. I can deal with JD, but like I don't know if I can deal with like I don't want like a Matt Gaetz presidency.
No
like
way.
I don't want, I don't want that.
It's
It
like
seems-
Beavis and
seems-
Butthead.
Oh, bro, like oh my god,
Take
no.
on the
So that's-
presidency.
So that's not good either. But yeah, to your point, like everybody like gets every election, people just get so fucking bent out of shape, like the world is ending. But like these things shift so rapidly. Like the Republican Party today is like nothing like it was like 8 years ago. You know, and it's definitely nothing like it was when like we were growing. Like everything moves around so quickly and so fast, and I think it's just gonna move around even faster. So like regardless of what happens, like I think everything will be fine, and I think that the marketplace of ideas will sort of shift around so that it's not a coincidence that this election is like dead 50-50. Like it's freaking crazy, like actually how efficient the parties are at like optimizing for votes. Like with all this said and done, this whole election is going to come down to like 10,000 votes in some random county of one state.
That's not going to be
good. Which is
good.
kind of wild to think about.
It was a couple episodes ago. You guys told me that Pennsylvania is going to determine the election. What's Pennsylvania looking like right now?
I think she's
Trump is in the lead.
No,
in Pennsylvania,
I saw a
think.
recent one where she was up by like very within the margin of error, like 0.1%. You want to hear a funny stat though? So we
Yeah.
were talking to our Meta rep, the Facebook rep, and we were asking him like, hey, how heavy is the political spending affecting our costs right now? And he said it's way different than previous election cycles because they're jamming all the spend in like 7 counties across 5 states. And so he's like, it's affecting your prices by like 1%. Where in like 4 years ago in 2020,
They were
our
just going
CPMs were like through the
shotgun.
roof.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting that you could tell from them that they're focusing all the ad spend and all the efforts on a couple 100,000
Dude,
people.
it's crazy. In the future, when all the ad tech, it's like even more advanced. It's just going to be like 700 people in like one area of the country, and like everything they do is just going to be like an ad.
I'll
Like,
just go
people are-
walk up to him, shake each one's hand.
Yeah. And it's like, why would you spend a single dollar in California, right? But then you take that to its extreme, and then
There's probably some House races and that's what he said. Actually, the only thing you're experiencing, the 1%, is all the Senate and House races that spread across the country.
it's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
My vote's for sale.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
vote's for sale, and I imagine that if I'm feeling like that, then other people are even more so like that.
Let's see. How much are they spending per vote?
That's a good question.
How many people vote?
In the whole country?
Yeah, like what? Like 60, 70 million?
Didn't like Trump and Biden each get like 80 million votes?
So then it would be more like 140-ish, 150.
I don't know. Fact check me on that.
I
I thought it was like 60% of.
They spend like $4 billion divided by 150 million. Your vote only costs $26. But if you're in Pennsylvania, it's probably like $270,000. So
All right. That's a good deal. Sounds about right.
yeah. All right. What's next, Steven? What do you got for us here?
Are we going to talk about crypto?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Let's do it.
This
Been a while.
card is so perfectly timed. I want you to just talk about this, but
So the title of this card is "Are You Bitcoin Pilled?" And this originated, I think, because we were having a post-pod discussion last week about whether everybody's just sort of like thrown in the towel on everything that isn't Bitcoin, because it's been a pretty brutal. It's been a pretty brutal like 5 years now. I mean, there were like a couple months of woo, right? But like unless you literally put all your money in Solana or Pepe, or
Right,
like whiff.
Like since 2021, like owning crypto has been pretty shitty,
Yeah.
like broadly.
Yeah, so it's been broadly shitty, and then like just owning like altcoins versus Bitcoin over the last year has been really shitty. There's a lot of school of thought that was like, well, if Bitcoin's going to pump, like we'll just go after the high beta stuff. But that didn't really happen. You know, Bitcoin dominance hasn't really gone down.
yeah. So Bitcoin's market cap divided by the total crypto market cap is close to like 60%. It's like 58%, which is near highs.
Yeah.
So basically, all the money is being poured into Bitcoin. But isn't this just a case of the price shaping narrative? Like, Bitcoin is the only one near all-time highs, and narrative's just getting changed by that. And of course, this would be the moment this card would pop up when like the ETH Bitcoin ratio is like one of the lowest it's been in
0.3 or
in
something.
like
okay, but
4
like
years.
we could have had this exact same conversation like last December. It would have sounded exactly the same.
Yeah, because that ratio has just been tanking.
Right, but like this is like a but this is my point. Like you always have the like if you were in the midst of like a this like happens sometimes when you're trading, right? The trend has shifted and you're no longer looking for longs, you're looking for shorts, right? But like everything looks like a pullback to you. But then the low keeps getting lower and then like nothing holds, and then you're just like, wait a minute, why is everything still going down?
I mean, there is an argument that Bitcoin, out of anything, is the only one that's been significantly de-risked. I think.
Yeah,
Right. You can make a
agree
strong
with that.
argument that.
I think the two things that have been de-risked are like Bitcoin and like meme coins. To be honest, like one of the best looking charts in crypto, I think, is like Pepe, right, which is a meme coin. Like Pepe doesn't care who president is; they just care if people are going to be degens, right? Bitcoin doesn't really care who the president is. It's sort of like in its own little world. It has regulatory clarity. You know, you can make an argument that like it might even go up more in a restrictive administration. Maybe more funds just say like, fuck it, we're just going to pile in and allocate to Bitcoin instead of this other stuff, right? So it seems like all roads lead to Bitcoin going up. But then you have all these other coins, like ETH especially, is probably the worst, right? Because I think so much of ETH's value is derived from, you know, projects on it, like of like a Uniswap, Aave, Maker type nature, like things that are quasi securities. Like, are they securities? Are they not securities? Like, if all of those things can thrive, like if there's some like boom, if there's like a framework of like how to launch like a tokenized security, and then like everybody just starts launching like securities, they're gonna do it on ETH, and then like ETH will go like crazy, right? But in a world where that doesn't exist, like it feels like fucking worthless over the next 4 years, right? So it's very hard to invest in that. So I think if you're in crypto right now, like I think you buy Bitcoin, you probably have some allocation to memes, and then maybe you have some allocation to some of these like there's this trend with these like kind of like first cycle like L1 type things, like your Sui type coins, where they like have their pump, but then like all the unlocks happen, and then like everybody gets dumped on, and then everybody's like, fuck this shit, and they
Right.
just sell. But then you have this like kind of capitulation event, and then actually these things kind of go up, right? That could be like an interesting play as well. But like something like ETH was just so over owned, right? It was such a consensus play.
What do you think about Benjamin Cohen talking about this being the bottom for the ETH BTC ratio?
I mean, this
Did he
is
say that?
this sentiment is the
Yeah.
precursor. Like you kind of need it in order for it to bottom.
Like if you still think Ethereum is a good long-term asset, like you really don't want to see it lose more than like another like 10 or 15% versus
Right.
Bitcoin, or it's like in the it's in the territory of like, oh fuck, like the ratio is like the ratio right now
becomes
is
irrelevant.
It's in a like if you look at the ratio of Bitcoin to ETH on a chart right now, or it's like okay, yeah, I got it. That was a nasty pullback, but this is an area where the ratio should go back up now, right?
Yeah.
But if the ratio goes much lower from here, now you're like, oh, years of uptrend have just been broken, and then the question becomes like, well, where is the bottom? Because right now you're like, oh, the bottom is like around here, and you're like, there is an ETF, there will be regulatory clarity, we will have like ETH seasonality in a few months, like blah 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 blah, and then like ETH goes up, right? But if that doesn't hold, then yeah, it could get
Yeah, I feel like by the
pretty
first
ugly.
quarter of the year, if the ETH BTC ratio is still going down, that's
Probably
like
not good.
That's no.
of next year.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really bad.
yeah.
I mean, I think you'll know before that, but like
Before
that
the
would
end
be
of the year.
Yeah, I mean that would be like nuclear.
I don't know. To me, it seems like we're teeing up for it pretty nicely. Like global liquidity is like creeping up, rates are going down. You know, we're having this period of like volatility and unknowns, and then November 6th, we kind of close that gap. We have more certainty
But
of what's to
specifically
come.
would drive ETH?
I mean, I'd like to say the fundamentals, but probably not. Like probably just the fact of more liquidity, more people willing to take risk. The fact that positioning on it is probably as worse as it gets.
Right.
Sentiment is down as worse as it can get.
I mean, how quickly would like regulatory guidance come from, like, say, a Trump presidency that would like inspire?
I don't think you even need it.
It wouldn't
or
even take
de-risk.
that long.
It
Like,
is-
I think if Trump wins
It
and
would
like
just
we're
be
Go up.
the catalyst.
Yeah, like I think you can paint a picture, as Nick said, where like I think Bitcoin actually looks quite bullish right now. I think the larger macro picture is kind of interesting. Like if I had to put money on like one scenario, and it's not like a high confidence thing, but like it does feel like we're kind of going to do like a little blow off top thing, and then maybe pull like a 2007, 2008 thing. And then like we have like the government being like the final pull out all the stops, and then just everything just it just gets madness, and Bitcoin goes to $10 million kind of thing.
You talking about over 4 years, or over
the next like couple of years? Like I don't know. Like I think it does feel like the Fed is super behind the curve. It does feel like they should cut rates like a lot more to me. Like they're pricing in all these cuts into like, when are they saying, like in the spring basically they're gonna get down there. I don't know. Like I could see it going wrong. Like I could see a blow off top in stocks. I can see a blow off top in crypto, and I can see some sort of like nasty downside move happening. You know, and that'd be really shitty as an ETH holder, right? Like you get the Trump presidency and everybody's like, woo, and then we just go to the 4K, but then just nuke to like $1,500 or something, and like.
I mean, I still like our idea of, you know, there's a lot of cash on the sidelines. There's a lot of home equity stored up from home prices going up, and people have quite a bit of collateral, and interest rates are going to go down, and there might be time to lever up. Not in your trading portfolio. I'm just saying, like, economy-wide,
Yeah,
right?
I sort of agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think I want to ask Steven's question. It's like the same question directionally, but just slightly different. It's like, instead of being like BTC pilled, to what degree are you guys like stock pilled or like gold pilled? Like anything but crypto. Because this crypto shit isn't doing what we thought it was going to do.
Yet.
And like, you know, I came in to this entire podcast series on Bankless and everything saying one thing: I'm a mercenary. Like, it's my job to make money with investments, and crypto at large is not making as much money as like other vehicles. Stocks is so simple.
Okay, is that really true though? Because if you bought like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Coinbase, you're destroying the NASDAQ over the last year. Like a lot of what's gotten you wrecked has been like over allocating to ETH or like over allocating to like altcoins in general. But like if you were to just take like what we would say is like like if you had a friend and you gave them like a basic bitch, like I want to invest in crypto, you'd be like, okay, so put like half of it in Bitcoin, and maybe put like 20% in like ETH, maybe put like 5 or 10% in Solana, and then just like a smatter. Like if you did that and then you put like coin in there, like you're crushing stocks. Like, so I don't know that crypto as a whole is.
And if you look at the cycles, like in terms of how long they take, like we're kind of middle of the road in terms of.
Yeah, like you could also paint a picture where this is like this is like summer 2020. Like
I mean, it
feels familiar in a lot of ways.
Like, I just want to push back on your first point. Like, the first point is very simple. Stocks are at all-time highs, and crypto is not. Like, Bitcoin is not. ETH is way off. Like, it's so much easier to buy stocks. It's so much like
no, you're
gold's
just
at all-time highs.
you're just picking like nobody cares if it's at all-time highs. People are like, when did you get back in? Like when you thought the economy was turning, and you bought everything, you were way up beyond stocks. Like if you bought like the standard crypto
it's the exact
portfolio.
same argument to your argument. Like if you bought ETH at 4K because it went there, and now ETH's what? I don't even follow it. Like,
No,
what's
but
ETH at?
the basis of this discussion was you're like, I feel like crypto is underperforming. When you say I feel like crypto is underperforming, what you really mean is that since everything turned around from the bottom,
Like
right?
even like October or November 2023.
Like,
last
that's
year.
what we mean when we say crypto is underperforming. People aren't saying like, oh, it's underperforming since the all-time high of last cycle. No, people mean like, fuck, like I timed the bottom and I put all my money in here and the NASDAQ is outperforming.
Okay, so let's like, I don't even care to do this like silly argument of like what happened. Like we can all see what happened. Like the argument is what to do from here. And like what I'm saying, I guess, is like I hold a lot of crypto. I personally do. I believe in this shit. I believe in Ethereum. I believe in Bitcoin. Those are my two largest crypto holdings. But like I also believe in stocks. I also believe in AI. I also believe in other themes that are also growing. And like I actually believe in like products, projects, services that make a fuckload of money that like are represented by equities that are like no-brainers.
Yeah.
And we're going into like a realm that's like highly uncertain and not performing.
I mean, I think my portfolio probably like mirrors your sentiment, right? Like it's crypto's like the minority, not the majority.
Like I think the uncertainty is not even that big of a deal, honestly. Like there's a lot of like you could probably construct like a semi-intelligent altcoin portfolio right now. And even if you concede that there's a 50% chance that that altcoin portfolio doesn't do anything because the wrong person for your bags wins, like that portfolio under Trump probably does such a massive multiple that like holding a 0% allocation to it, like at this point in time, is probably like a very, very, very bad idea, you know? And I think crypto at like 20% of your portfolio, if you're a young person, is still like an obvious play. I do think that like overweighting Bitcoin in the face of all this like uncertainty is also an intelligent play right now, you know, because there is like this, we are coin flipping, I think a huge outcome. Like I don't care what like the Adam Cochrans of the world say. Like I think if you think that Kamala wins and it's like a bull market in altcoins, I think it's just stupid, right? But like I definitely can see that happening.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, but I think that like particularly on this podcast, for instance, we like if you look at the allocation of our conversations and like where we directed our time and energy, I think we overallocated towards crypto when there were like other growth themes that we like didn't spend enough time on.
I mean, I didn't overallocate towards crypto, right? Because like my entire portfolio over the last year probably did about like 100%, and I way fucking overallocated to ETH, right? And if I hadn't overallocated to ETH, I would have done like way over 100%, right? And there's no world in which like I buy, like if I'm buying stocks, like I'm just buying the index, right? I'm not like picking stocks. Like, yeah, it would have been nice if in retrospect I would have bought like Nvidia and like overweighted it, but I wouldn't have. I would have just bought the Qs.
But like,
and I would be up a lot, but like I wouldn't.
I want to ask why, when you can like you are picking individual cryptos, like why are you saying like no, I would never pick a stock? Like why?
Because I think I have a massive informational advantage picking cryptos versus picking stocks. Like if I'm picking stocks,
But
like I'm
okay.
trying to like pick against like the largest funds in the world with like 100 like MIT quants like on their. I'm not gonna
No,
beat those
but, like,
people.
no, I mean it didn't even take that. All it took was buying the fucking one that everybody picked, Nvidia. Like
No,
that's so easy.
Everybody didn't pick that. That's like such revisionist history. And the vast majority of people did not buy the bottom. The vast majority of people were very late to get in general, right? Like I think picking stocks is way harder than picking crypto.
I
Like
feel
would,
like
would
this
you
is-
agree with that? Do you think you have a bigger edge like
I
picking
think
stocks
a
or picking
ton
coins?
of people shoveled into Nvidia at like $400
Like
and did
people did great. Like
almost
shovel into
300%.
Tesla, shovel into Nvidia. Like this, people are winning on that.
And
like,
and $400 was just like the holy shit, this could be the top, but I'm going to shovel in anyway. And it's done.
This is
250%
such
since then.
revisionist
I think you're
history.
talking about a you
I
thing
don't
versus
think
like
it
a
is. Right. That's what I think Eric's trying to illustrate. Is like you're talking about your worldview, which is totally fair. That's
no,
where
I'm not
your
talking about my
information
worldview.
advantage
Like,
is.
if you guys are sitting around here saying that, like, a lot of people went around and just bought Nvidia, like, at the fucking, like, bottom, it just didn't happen. It didn't happen.
I don't know what you mean by the bottom.
Where, like,
you
people
literally didn't need to buy the bottom.
Yeah.
people were just so late to buying stocks in general. People have
And they're at
thought,
all-time highs.
yes, but the idea, there's just so much cherry picking of like points in favor of the stocks and against the crypto. Like, and my point is like, unless you actually think that you were smart enough to pick Nvidia over everything else, like if you were just like, oh, I'm gonna buy a crypto, like I'm not even gonna pick cryptos. I'm gonna buy like a market cap weighted sort of crypto basket of like majors and sectors, and then I'm gonna buy the index of stocks. Like crypto outperformed. So
I agree with
if
that.
you were like, yeah, I was such a whiz that like I put all my money in Nvidia, okay, fine, you outperformed. I just don't think the vast majority of people did that. And I think to think that people did do that and you didn't is to like feel bad about yourself when you shouldn't feel that bad about yourself.
Question: do you have clients or portfolios you're managing that still have a good amount in cash?
Yes.
What are you doing with them? Are you kind of like DCAing it in? Are you keeping it in cash? For those clients, like they kind of buy indexes, they're not doing anything crazy.
I think it differs, but one thing I'm like always trying to do, this is like a me thing, not
Okay.
like I'm always keeping a percentage in cash to be able to like sell options against, and that's a nice way to generate income. But I think it's always nice to have cash in case shit hits the fan. Like we just did a 50 basis point rate cut today, and the last two times we did that was 2008 and 2001. I have no idea if we're going into like a recession or a crash or anything. I have no idea. But you know what's nice? It's like having a little bit of buffer just in case something bad does happen.
Okay. So you feel like keeping it there feels good.
Particularly when
For
it's
now.
earning 5.25%. Yeah. It's
Right.
nice.
Or you could sell puts against it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think on average, the last few times the Fed cut rates when stock markets were at all-time highs, the average return a year out was like 20-something%. Food for thought.
Did you guys, real quick thing on ETH, did you guys see the head of digital assets at BlackRock that did an interview on Bankless? I saw some notes on it, but I haven't watched the episode yet. And he kind of describes the tokenization vision he sees. And he thinks that it's going to take quite a long time, but like he seems to have like a pretty clear vision on it. Like he needs more custodians that are institutional grade that hold crypto products. He needs more credible trading marketplaces and then some regulatory clarity. But he does see like a time when you could trade stocks, on like an ETH protocol 24/7.
Yeah, it's 100% happening.
That's the direction it's going, and that I think that's the end state. How long it takes to get there, who knows? But like this is like the reason why we love ETH.
So
and
that's
wanna
still
own
alive,
ETH.
I think.
Wait, you just reminded me of something with the BlackRock. So when we sat down here, you were showing me a stock of a gold miner.
Oh.
What was the gold miner?
A-Mark.
A-Mark. Okay. So when I look at gold and I look at Bitcoin, like it looks like the same chart to me, except like it looks like Bitcoin is lagging, but like in my mind, like they kind of are doing the same thing, and like one is breaking out and the other is like a bit of a laggard. And like you talk about BlackRock, and like Bitcoin in the grand scheme of things is still like a very small asset class, I think. And not to be a conspiracy theorist, but like if I am a large like institution like a BlackRock, right, and I think that Bitcoin is going to do what Bitcoin's going to do, right, I'm accumulating the fuck out of it right now. And if I'm accumulating the fuck out of it right now, like I'm probably manipulating the shit out of the price. And I definitely think you can manipulate the shit out of the Bitcoin price still. It's not that big of an asset, right? So when I see a gold chart and a gold miners, they just look like Bitcoin, except they've broken out and like Bitcoin is still kind of consolidating and it's in the same place. And liquidity's ticking up massively, and Bitcoin's lagging liquidity, and it's lagging gold, and it's lagging gold miners. Like, I'm not sitting at that, looking at that, thinking like, oh God, Bitcoin's going to go down. I'm just like, oh, this is like a beach ball that's being held underwater. Like if it truly does what people think it's going to do, and other smart people know this with like large bags and the means to do so, they're probably trying to buy a bunch of it, and they're probably, holding it down for a little bit. So I like
Hope you're right.
The gold stuff is like one of the most bullish things I see when I look at Bitcoin.
It just reminded me, like about a year ago, I had lunch with a buddy, and he mentioned he had like $8 million worth of gold, like, bullion, like all kinds of different gold. And I was like,
$8 million.
yeah, that was part of his portfolio.
Hope your buddy's a
He's a pretty
billionaire.
successful dude. Anyway, he's like, can you help me out with this crypto stuff? Like, if you see anything, I'm like, yeah, sure. But in my mind, I was like, oh, yo, gold? Wow, what a boomer. And like,
Boomer
fast
rock.
forward 12 months
Yeah,
later,
he's
I'm
at
like,
all-time highs.
holy smokes, he is up big time on it.
But Steven doesn't matter. Steven doesn't care. He's all-time highs.
Yeah.
He's about to get wrecked.
All right. you want
Do you want to talk about this Mr. Beast thing
Yeah, a little bit.
really quick?
Yeah, real quick.
All right.
Oh shit, we're an hour and a half in
We have
already.
2 more. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we can just touch on this quickly, and it's mainly because we touched on something last episode. So last episode, we had a little tangent where we talked about the Netflix culture deck and how it seemed timeless, and it got adopted by a lot of organizations, including my own. Things like high performance, freedom, responsibility, context, not control, pay at like above market wages. Anyway, Mr. Beast got like a document called How to Succeed at his company, and it got leaked. And there are some bangers in there. Like this might usurp the Netflix.
flipping
All right, give me the TLDR
This
bangers
is the
here.
TLDR.
Okay, zoom in.
Oh, yeah.
I got it up right now.
Okay, but this like takes the flavor out of it. But yes,
Yeah, because the way he writes. So my favorite part of the whole document is that like he doesn't edit it. He writes it like a zoomer.
there's spelling errors,
And,
no
yeah,
capitalization,
it's great.
LOLs in there. It's like he's talking to his
He
team.
literally types
just
LOL
texting.
inside of
Parentheses,
it.
LOL.
Can I read an excerpt?
Yeah, read it. I got you
yeah.
on picture-in-picture mode.
Okay, well, I don't know if this is the excerpt I'm going to read, but we talked about founder mode before, and he talks about, let's say, you and a person agree that something needs to get done in 5 days, right? In order to hit a deadline.
Okay.
You don't get to set a reminder for 5 days and not talk to him for 5 days. Every single day, you must check in on Tyler and make sure he is on track to hit the target date. I want less excuses in this company. Take ownership and don't give your project a chance to fail. Dumping your bottleneck on someone and then just walking away until it's done is lazy and it gives room for error. And I want you to have a mindset that God himself couldn't stop you from making this video on time. Check in daily. Leave no room for error. And I was like, ooh, I need that a little more going on in our company. And he expresses in words like this feeling you have, this like as a founder, you have this like urgent feeling like things need to go faster. There is like too much unknowns. There's too much uncertainty. Like we need to move faster and with more certainty. And I read that and I was like, he sees me. I feel seen. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other ones. I don't know if Armand, you had some like special ones you wanted to.
I loved that part. I didn't like the actual idea, but I loved his communication. I love how, like, the candor in his document is just incredible. Like title of a section. I don't care how traditional media does things. Pardon the bluntness, but this is not Hollywood, and I do not want to be Hollywood. And if that sentence is a turnoff to you, then you're probably at the wrong place. Like, he continuously clarifies his position on things. It's very authoritarian, as it should be for a company that is really trying to make it. He's trying to build $1 billion enterprise, $1 billion media company, and he's well on his way. So the document's amazing.
Okay, give me more.
You want more? Okay,
Yeah.
so he talks about how he wants employees to work with him. Because he tells them, like, hey, this is what I got going on in my day-to-day, so if you need help, there's a certain way you should get help
Yeah,
from me.
how to approach me.
Yeah, so he talks about, someone could come up to me and say, hey, we're going to give away a car in this video. What do you think about this Lexus that we can get for 10 grand? He's like, that is a terrible way to come up to me. I don't know what's going on in the video you're creating. He's like, it would be better when getting an answer from me, it's ideal that you do research and come to me with context and options. Instead of saying, in an upcoming video, we're giving away a car. What do you think about this Lexus? Only 10 grand, which is how 99% of questions are asked towards me. Do this instead. We have a coming up video. Would you? One of the bits at 6 to 10 9-minute mark is we'll be giving away a car. We are still on budget, and the budget for the car is 10 grand. I checked in with the budget. We could go up another 5K if you really wanted. I searched all the new North Carolina for cool ass cars that price around that point, and here are 5 options I found pre-approved by Creative, all on budget. I also got 5 other backup options that are less cool looking and more average than that. Here's a picture of all 10. Here's the miles in the car, the information you want. Which of these cars do you think is best, or should I get other options? If you want to look like you're doing your job and don't care about the success of the video, ask me questions in like the first example. If you want to take accountability and make your videos happen with a higher probability of success, do the second. This just doesn't apply to me. It applies to anyone high up you expect to make a decision. So there's a lot of stuff
I
that
actually,
feel.
That like resonates with me, like really nice.
The whole reason he put the the document together is he's like, look, he starts by saying like, you're probably not going to get to interact with me much.
Yeah.
Like we're at the point where you need to know how I think, and you need to learn it and adopt it, and then like I'm indoctrinating you.
Yeah, this is gonna help you and help me, and it's
Yeah.
gonna make everything go smoother if
Yeah.
you come with like this.
I love this piece
Okay.
on like the person's career. He's like, if you want to have a career conversation, here's how to grow in this company. I mean, it's gold, and we'll link to it. But he's basically saying, look, there's all this potential. We have 2 teams right now. We're going to have 4 next year, maybe 8 soon. We need more leaders. And this is what a leader looks like. Obsessive, hardworking, coachable, intelligent grinders that can take, that can step up and take some of these leadership spots over the next 2 years. Every single department has opportunity for you to grow, and you're in luck because we don't do yearly reviews. We do whenever the fuck you want reviews. If you want to become a production manager, tell James your intention and ask him why you suck and how you can become better. Seriously, he will give you a list of things that you need to work to improve on to become what we need. And if you actually listen and master those things, we will give you a shot at the role. Then he goes on to say, like, basically, most people never do this shit. If you really want to do it, if you really want to grow, you got to take this thing by the horns and just go. And I love that, you know, again, the candor, the directness, the opportunity that he lays out in front of you is like, it's all here for the taking. We have a lot of money. I don't need it for myself. I'm not hoarding it. Come and get it. But you got to come and get it.
So he's direct, but he's also asking you to be direct. Like he's asking the
He's-
counterparty to also like tell me what you want
He's
and then let me
asking
judge you.
to be just like him.
Yeah.
He has clearly put in tens of thousands. Like he's put in his hours.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying like, this is the model to become Jimmy, to become Mr. Beast. This is how I think. This is how I grew. I'm obsessive. And this is what you got to do to be like me.
He's also got another area where what I like. One of his themes in here is don't take anything at face value. He says one of the common themes you're probably seeing is accountability, and this doubles down on that. And I think this comes up a lot in our company. Like someone will say, this product's ready, and I as the owner, you're always like, what does that mean, ready? Like, are you sure it's ready? Like, how do you know it's ready? And what does ready mean? And like, I really like imprecise communication. Like when someone says something like generic like that, does that mean we can start buying traffic to this product? Like we can go live, or it's like ready, like for you to review. It's ready, like the developer said it's ready, like, but it could have some bugs. Like there's all kinds of that. And if everyone was a little more, don't take any at face value, dig into the details, and question everything.
So Mr. Beast is talking about like using precise language.
Or just even like, he even talked about using vendors. He's like, if you need to shoot a video with 10,000 pillows and you call around to 5 vendors, they all only keep 500 in inventory. And you call the 6 and they're like, yeah, we got 10,000 pillows. Don't be like, great, problem solved. Ask yourself, why does this guy have 10,000 pillows available and none of the other vendors have not even 1,000 available? Like, what, do their pillows suck so much? Do they even have that, or are they just desperate? And so, I don't know. I like that ethos, and I want to like ingrain it more. I'm still taking it all in and figuring out how to spread the sauce within the company.
I like this too. I have a question for you guys as the operators in the room. Like, how often do you encounter in your lives like employees that would like fit this model? Like, is he asking for a unicorn, or is this like
these are unicorns.
Yeah.
like this is not common?
No.
I mean, we
These are
have
founder mentality type people.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, we have like 60-ish people, in the company. And right now, like the core team, there's maybe like 15 growth-oriented people, outside like operations and stuff like that. 2 of those people are hitting just like taking up, seeing problems and just doing them. And I'm like, whoa. And they're like, hey, I'm going to try this. I'm going to be a little off on these other duties, but I'm going to tackle this. And like, they're doing it. And the conversation that we're having without them there is like, okay, how much money are we going to give them? Like, they're close to accomplishing this goal. So like, we got to make sure we reward this, and kind of loudly. So
let me add specificity to my language. Like, I'm imagining that you have, like, he's asking for a lot here, right? And one thing he's asking is like, I want you to be direct with your desires, right? If you want to be production manager, you tell me you want to, and you talk to James, and James is going to tell you what you need to do to be production manager, and we'll see if you can do it. Where's the gap with the people that you're talking about Is it like in the directness, or is it in the ability?
I mean, to be honest, most people just don't have that level of ambition.
Don't execute.
People don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't even ask the question, like, "Hey, I want to become the best here. So, like, where am I missing?" And oftentimes, it's like we're noticing someone's missing, and we're like, "Hey, we see a gap. Here's the gap. We think it's these 3 things, and like in 2 weeks, you should close this gap." And it's more us coming to them, not like, you know, you rarely see people that ambitious to be like. I don't know what your experience is.
I mean, the type of people he's talking to and the type of people he's ever going to let into his organization are people that are absolute A players who will make their work their life. There's nothing less. This is not someone in their life who has balance. These are people that are obsessive about wanting to be the best and work for Mr. Beast. And he has the leverage. So he's Mr. Beast. He's one of the most famous people on the internet. And so he can set a standard, and that standard has to be met. And if it's not met, you're out. So the guidebook is incredible because it lays out very specifically, like, if you're going to work here, this is the standard, and that's it. So he's in a unique position to make extreme demands of people.
I get
But
that.
any organization that wants to be the best has to have these level of standards.
Yeah.
This is the guidebook to A players playing all out, all the way to win.
Like we talked about a couple weeks ago how Mark Andreessen had this like hiring tips thing that went on Twitter, and one of the things he mentioned is you want to hire someone where this is their opportunity to be successful. Like they're viewing this leap, this next step, joining your company as like this is my chance.
This is their Super Bowl.
Yeah, and so you may not be able to hold a high standard of Mr. Beast because you're the number one in your entire industry, but we started asking more questions in the interview to see like where are you at in your career, what are you looking for, and the people who are like this is you are what I'm looking for, and you align perfectly with my trajectory, and we're taking more of those yeses than the people who have like, yeah, I've done this before, I check all your boxes. I can literally just do what I was doing before and just hop over and do the same thing. And those people, you would think they have the least amount of risk to become like a B player, but they have not as big opportunity
no
to become
upside.
that. Yeah, upside. Where the 2 people I was thinking about literally told us like, no, this is my shot. Like I'm coming to work for you to like.
Because you want to see a hunger where you can like groom another leader like Mr. Beast is talking about.
Yeah.
Here's another way to put this. Like, this is how most people hire, and how I used to hire is like smart, experienced. It's like, oh, you used to be an engineer at Meta, and you got a 4.0 and a 1500 on your SATs. I want you. These people end up often not working out. The people you really want to hire are the ones that are obsessive grinders. They're the people that are just like so hungry to work and grow. So they're super curious and talented. Like they have a talent. It's not necessarily like general cognitive ability and intelligence. It's just like they're so curious to learn, to grow, and they have the grit to just show up and continue growing. These people outperform smart, experienced people 9 times out of 10.
Another like high indicator of someone being a successful role is that they've self-taught themselves what they're trying to do at your company like for the past like 2-3 years on their own, not just like whatever the job they're at requires of them. They just have a track record of like, well, I taught myself this, I learned this, like I dug into this on my own and I learned how to do this. And if you see like a track record of that, you know that person's going to come in here and like just bulldoze obstacles because they're just it's in their DNA to learn stuff and remove the obstacles. So
energy is everything. That piece Mark Andreessen talked about, like this is their shot. That's everything. That means they're excited. They want to prove themselves, and like they're here. They're here, and they're committed and ready to grow and take direction. So those people are great. But yeah, there's a lot to glean out of the document.
yeah, it's like a 30-page document, but it's easy to read. Like you could breeze through it. It's like casual, easy reading, and maybe some good nighttime in bed reading if anyone's into that kind of thing. All right. Before we move on to the next topic, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Magic Spoon. Go to magicspoon.com/alfalfa and check out the variety pack. It has cocoa, fruity, peanut butter, and frosted. All of them have 0 grams of total sugars. about 4 grams of net carbs, and 14,
there he
13,
goes.
14 grams of protein in them. There's only about 140 calories per serving. It's keto friendly, gluten friendly, grain free, soy free. Supports a healthy lifestyle if you're into that kind of thing. Yeah, and if you use the code Alfalfa at checkout, you get $5 off the variety pack. And if you or the kids don't like it, you'll take it back. No questions asked.
I love that the people on the box looked like they did so much acid.
It's like both for kids and adults. It's like a Disney movie. Anyway,
Mr.
thanks,
Elephant.
Magic Spoon. Appreciate it.
Mr. Elephant. It's a jacked dude carrying an elephant.
He's carrying him.
Yeah,
I never
Oh
noticed.
yeah,
that.
he is carrying.
he's carrying the elephant. That's what happens to you if you eat Magic Spoon. You can pick up an elephant. That's awesome. Is that a lollipop or a maraca?
I have a lot of questions. I think it's a spoon
Oh,
that he's
okay.
holding. I'm
That
pretty sure
makes
it's a
sense.
spoon.
That makes sense.
I don't know. Like, could be a lollipop.
That's the acid.
All right, Amon. Teach us how to stay in love. I'm going to grab some other.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
I want to
came
grab something out
across
of the
this.
fridge too.
What do you want?
Hey, the topic of how to stay in love comes up, and you guys run out the room.
What is love?
Can I have a
you
beer?
believe that? Yeah,
Thank
bring me
you.
something. You believe these guys? What kind of men?
Hey, I'm here for you. Okay.
Thanks, man.
Tell me how to stay in love.
This is a Steven conversation. Steven Orwell conversation. So I came across this quote, and it hit me. It hit me in the feels. There's a lot in there. There's a lot of good stuff in this.
I think you should read it.
Yeah?
It's worth it.
I would just like to point out that nobody got me a beer.
Did you want one?
No,
Oh,
it's fine.
okay.
Okay, so I'll read it. How to stay in love. Stay curious about the person you've fallen for. Don't assume you know everything about them, whether you've known them for 7 months, 5 years, or 30 years. Each day, remind yourself what drew you to them, and then ask yourself what draws you toward them still. Hug them as often as you can. Make inside jokes you'll talk about for years. Don't allow the small, passive-aggressive moments to fester into bitterness and resentment. Be honest about your feelings. Know there are always two sides to every story, and more often than not, you should listen to them. Don't stop flirting with them just because you've been together for years. Create and respect healthy boundaries, because love thrives when it's safe and cared for. Tell them what you love about them. Don't just assume they know. Hold their hand often. Show up for them, especially when they need it most. Remember that you're a team. Neither of you has to endure the hard things alone. Learn the difference between codependence and interdependence. Keep building your friendship. Don't treat it as a consolation. And remember that staying in love involves giving it every possible opportunity to grow.
Wow, you got a future of
Nice, man.
audible audio books.
Why am I horny?
Go on.
Autoerotica?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. I mean, you know, you come across little pieces of advice or little quotes here and there throughout life, but talk about like a one paragraph distillation of how to stay in love, and my God, it's a banger. It's a banger.
Laura in the chat gives you 3 clap emojis, probably for the performance more than the advice of this thing.
The voice was one clap.
Yeah.
I don't think those are claps. I think she's just saying hi to people in the
Oh,
chat.
okay. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Sorry, not to take away your.
I'll give Armand.
I just
three.
want
Uh,
to, I want to keep it 100.
So I guess the question for you guys here is that like is that alpha for you? Like, do you there's another way to look at this. Like one of the biggest things I ever got from Tony Robbins, went to his Day with Destiny event with Nick when I was 30. When I turned 30 years old, my 30th birthday. I took Erica with me, and Nick came, my brother came, and one of the things that he talks about is to stay in love, never forget how you were in the beginning. Just continue to behave like day one energy. Who were you on day one, year number one, when you were trying to impress them, woo them? You know, if she says like, "Oh, can you take out the trash?" You don't say like, oh, fuck, why do I have to do it this week? Or why do you nagging? You go, I'll take out the trash.
Yeah, like they want to happily take out the trash.
Yeah.
Can't
wait. Whatever you need. Like, because why? Because you're trying to get laid. You're trying to stay in love. You're trying to impress her. You're trying to make her happy. And that's what you do. You just have energy. And then there's this positively reinforcing feedback loop where when you do something good, they do something good for you, and then that continues to create the spark of feeling in love. Because what happens when you're in love is that there's a real kinetic energy to it, right? In being in love is very different than loving somebody.
Yes.
Very different. And
Yeah.
this is the recipe for staying in love.
I'm gonna let these guys talk if they want to, but I think you and I can go on forever just on this side of the table. But like, I don't like what Tony Robbins said there, and honestly, like a paragraph like this, which is very well written and is like very thoughtful, it doesn't resonate with me as much as like personal anecdotes and like like the realness. Like let's just talk,
Okay.
right? But it is a very good prompt. But I do think that like love is a dynamic situation that's constantly evolving, and like to use day one energy is like really disingenuous. Like nobody has day one energy day 5 million, like nobody has that. And I think it's fucking stupid to try to lie to yourself that you have that. Nobody does. Like love changes. Agree? Agree?
Yep.
Love evolves. Like your initial love is based mostly on fucking passion and sex drive, and like it's a lot of different things at early stages. And then like as you progress in your love, typically I think it becomes more like something more akin to like partnership, and like there's like a lot more trust involved. Like what I've seen, let me just like talk about myself. I see so let me back up for myself. What I see in successful relationships where love is like very clearly present, I see a foundation that's built on like two pillars, that is like trust and respect. And on those two pillars, everything else exists. And like sometimes I see a relationship that started day one with like lust and passion and what you might consider love, and like these people get married or whatever, and then the either the trust or the respect in some form gets tainted, and that love sort of disappears. And I think like I'm gonna summarize my real thoughts on this whole thing. Like in order to like how to stay in love,
Yeah.
how to stay in love is to not fall out of love. And I think the way you don't fall out of love is different for everybody else. But I think there's like two pillars that it rests on, which is trust and respect.
So you think it's okay for like the flirting to go away and some of these other pillars that are there in the beginning, which is like your brain on love, the
I'm
chemicals to go away?
certain of it, because I see.
I don't disagree
I
that
literally
they do
see
go
my
away.
wife's parents that are 76 years old, and they're not fucking flirting with each other, but they're fucking in love and they're awesome. And that's a successful marriage. Like
Have you ever seen a 76-year-old couple that are flirting and appear to be like more passionately in love?
yeah,
Yeah, I've seen like at the park or like in
Yeah.
random passing, and it's
but that's not the
It's not the norm.
foundation, and it's like it's not what you need to stay in love.
so what you need, you're arguing for, is simply trust and respect.
No, I think that's like the Maslow's like basal layer of what love is. And like like what I'm saying is what you really need to stay in love is to not fall out of love. And that if you lose either of those two pillars, like you're probably fucked.
I know what trust looks like when it's kind of gone away, but what does respect? What does it look like when respect is
rolling.
gone? Eye rolling,
Good one.
That's a huge
Okay.
Good
sign.
one. I mean, but
dismissive.
dismissive.
but all of this like comes in so many different forms. Like trust, I think we like immediately assign to like fidelity level of trust, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like I've seen trust be violated where like new parents where the wife is like, no, I know how to treat our baby, and I don't trust you to like do this basic stuff. And then it's like pushing the guy away.
Or trust the other person to like do what they need to do in their personal life, the interdependence piece of it.
Of course. And then like on the respect side, it's like the eye rolling, but it could be like respecting what they're passionate about, respecting what their work stuff is. There's so many elements.
You can also
of
see
these
respect,
pillars.
like when you see a couple out and how they refer to one another,
Dude,
or like
that-
if they ever,
such a good one.
yeah, if they ever like sort of put them down in front of other people, that's like a
Dude, that's
weird
such a,
one.
That's such a good one. This
You
is like
know?
something that I've come on to recently. It's like you can kind of like tell immediately when a couple separated and they're with their friends, like how they talk about the partner,
Mhm.
and like the good ones, it's like it's always positive,
Building up.
building up, and then I see other ones where it's just like for no reason, like cutting down, like unsolicited.
Well,
like,
it's actually an opportunity for them to vent.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I do think that what happens, though, and often in relationships is when you lose some of the stuff in this little excerpt, you lose the lust and romance components of love. And if you lose that for too long and you start to feel like partners, which are very valuable, I don't disagree with that, you can get into a situation where you have a lot of respect and a lot of trust, but then you become roommates.
good one.
And people that often are married for a long time, you know, if you lose the sex and you lose the flirting and you lose the inside jokes and you lose the little things, it's sometimes maybe it is the little things that maintain love that you because that
Yeah.
took effort. Like I would argue that like love, you know, again, I'm not disagreeing with your basal needs, but like some of that takes less effort.
No, I agree. And there might
This
be like
stuff takes real effort to be thoughtful about. Like I'm going home for my trip. What should I do for her when I get home? Like honestly, even it gets to a point where you start to think about like how to be romantic, and you have to put effort into that. In the beginning, it was all fucking testosterone,
Right.
and it's like you know. But after 13 years, you know, in my case, how do you create that? How do you
Right.
continue to
No, and you
find that?
You definitely have the experience factor.
I just realized 13 years. You know, that's
13
like
years.
13
I didn't think it
years.
was that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
13 years this
13
year.
years.
That's longer than like all of my combined relationships. For sure.
I mean, do you think there's
by
a
a lot.
combination of your two where you always need those two like foundations, but maybe sometimes this goes in waves?
The reason
Right.
I'm a fan of this is because after you hit like the 7 years, the 7 year so-called itch, things change. And I'm with Eric, like things change, things evolve, the relationship evolves. But the thing that re-sparks the connection and energy does require like a bit of an investment back into the, at least in my case, it required a conscious reinvestment back into who I saw in the beginning and who I was in the beginning. I was a different person. I had to acknowledge that I had changed and not for the best. I changed into someone that took the relationship for granted. When you're with somebody for 7, 8, 9 years, you start to be, okay, now we're married and now we're this and now we're that and now we're going to have a kid. Things change.
There's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying, and I want to dig deeper on that, but I want to go back to the just this like sexual primal element of a relationship.
Which I think is one of the most important aspects. Slap her ass
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you used to in the beginning. Seriously.
And
I
like-
stopped doing that sometimes. And then I was like, oh, you know what? She's walking by. I'm going to slap her ass.
And just because I mentioned, just
I'm
because
serious, though.
because I talked about what I deemed Maslow's base layer of the pyramid doesn't mean that I'm like not saying that this matters as well.
Totally.
I think that this part, I want to focus on it because this evolves too. Like this specific layer evolves, right? Like when you're first starting out, the sexual desire is effortless and
Yeah.
just like it's just there, and you just like want to fuck each other all the time. And then as that evolves, I was reading this book, or I actually didn't read the book. Sorry, I watched like an interview with the author. The book was called Mating in Captivity.
Okay.
You guys read this one?
Esther
Is that
Perel.
Esther Perel?
Is that Esther Perel?
Yeah, she's
Okay,
great.
so Esther Perel talked about this idea of it's like a spectrum between security and adventure, and like maintaining the balance between both, because you need both in the relationship dynamic. You need to feel secure, but you also need to feel adventurous to maintain that spark, that lust. And I think that's like an important element, is like tiptoeing between the line. And like as you become more partners, it's like very easy to maintain the security element, but like maintaining
Right.
that spark is like what I think what you're talking to.
That's a good way.
Can
to
I
put it.
ask, like, when you guys were going through little phases, like remodeling the house, or even as you realize you're having a child, like, do those fall into the adventurous category because you're like changing something in your life together, or that's not at all?
No, it's the opposite. That's like a
Chaos?
sex sucker. Like it's like logistics.
Yeah.
Like
So what do you mean?
logistics
Can you give
take
me an
passion away? So like
Yeah.
like
traveling?
yes, like
Yeah.
going on a whim, be like,
Dates.
hey, let's go to fucking Portugal tomorrow.
Yeah.
I feel like going, and then she's like, yes.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, no, you idiot, like, and then just going, and then like living like two kids, you know, like just feeling like you're adventurous.
I like it.
Let's turn to you guys.
I saw this as like a checklist, and I was like, ooh.
You said you saved it when you saw
Yeah,
it too.
yeah. So we came with this separately, and I didn't even think about talking on the podcast. I was like, this is good. Like, I'm saving this. And then I looked at it as a checklist, and I was like, ooh, B. Like, I gave myself a B. I was like, okay, we do some of these things really well naturally, like effortlessly, almost.
I mean, a B's pretty damn good for this checklist.
Particularly like good about inside jokes and even the passive aggressive moments. Like, we kind of like laugh at them. Like, she was like, you know, when I was fasting, she's like, oh, Mr. Grumpy, getting into bed. You know, it wasn't like, you're being an asshole right now. It
Yeah.
was kind of like playful, like, you're kind of grumpy right now. And I'm like, yeah,
That's
I'm
such
kind of
a-
grumpy right now.
I
you
think
know,
I think we should drill down on that
and
example later. But
and
that's a
she
great
did it in a
one.
way where it like lets me admit, you know, it's not like
Yes.
this battle. She's like, you know, you're just being a little grumpy, Mr. Grumpster right now. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And
how
it
you
makes it
ta-
funny
Yeah,
and
you
not.
talk about a relationship deteriorating. It's the moment you start complaining about each other.
But like you, I feel like you can complain. Like the
In
way
that
that
way.
Nick's describing is like,
Yeah.
if you can do it in a way where you don't hold resentment against the counterparty, like if you can just like do it in a way,
Yeah, but if someone starts saying like you're being an asshole and I hate when you're like this,
you're
and,
being an asshole
you know,
and
blah, blah,
you're an
blah,
asshole. Like
and you
That one's
are
different.
X.
Not
Yeah.
you're being an asshole. You are an asshole. That's those are two different ways to bring
And,
it
like,
Not to women.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they don't. say
No, I
that.
said you're being a bitch. I said you're acting like a bitch.
You temporarily have bitch-like qualities.
You're temporarily occupying the bitch space-time continuum.
but here's a good one. Like
There's
just,
no way to deliver that without.
No, you're
yeah,
fucked.
that's
like
World
on
War.
this idea, people like you have to be careful how you talk to people because they will remember the things that you say, and they will for sure remember the way you made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
And like you gotta just be cognizant about that in order to stay in love, and like in order to not lose love.
I mean, it seems like as you kind of get past that 7 years, like life does come more about the logistics.
Of course.
It feels like it, like it's inevitable. And that's like the gravity that pulls you just to like the
Yeah.
partnership logistics about, okay, what do we want to do with our lives? And, you know, who's going to watch the dog and who takes out the trash? And I
Yeah.
want to go back to school, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yes, that's
and
natural.
It's like the natural gravity. So yeah,
But I think
Armand, you
that's
had
a-
it like
I think that's it has to be recognized as the natural. Like if you try to maintain day one love as the gravity's coming.
Well,
like,
I think like Tony's idea behind it was that like your state can be changed in any moment. You can change your state. Like you can go from excited to sad to like your peak state to the state at which you remember what it felt like to like do it and get your body there and then like enter a situation. I don't think it was meant to be like,
Yeah.
okay, forever and ever, always, all the time, 24/7. You're
And to Esther Perel's point, I think my favorite thing from Esther Perel is how she talks about the relationships that are the most successful. It's how the partners balance their dependence on one another and how they handle themselves in a room of people. And she says that the distinguishing factor is when one person looks at the other, you can see it when they look at the other as like a source of pride. They don't roll their eyes. They don't go, oh, there he goes again with his stories. No, no, no. You fell in love with that.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that. And she describes it as like this woman looking over at her man in his element, admiring him in his element, and seeing him the way other people also view him.
Oh, good
and
one.
having that sense of as separation can make the heart grow fonder. What does that mean? It's like that separation is like to be able to view them through the eyes of others who also admire them, and vice versa. You know, a beautiful woman or a kind woman or a successful woman walks into a room and people see her as somebody. Can you see her in the way that her coworkers see her, in the way that her friends see her, or do you just see her as your wife?
That's so
and if
good.
you see them in that light, that spark and that connection is real and very creates a lot of longevity.
Okay, I have something related to this. Like, one thought that I had as, like, we were talking about this yesterday and we were prompted about this, I was thinking, I was like, how much of this question should you assign to the selection process rather than the management process throughout? Because I think the selection process really matters too. Like who you decide to love.
What?
Like it's not just about how you act in a relationship that makes that love work. It's like selecting the right person really matters. And like one reason why I bring this up is because I'm thinking about a couple right now in my mind, but like they're a loving couple, but one person had an idea in mind that was like, oh, this about them will change over time. And like the moment I heard that, I was like, well, you don't love that person. You loved an idea of that person that was in your mind that you thought might come to fulfillment.
Yeah, very dangerous.
But like that is not.
Oh, they were like hoping
They
for
were
it,
hoping-
not like making it
Right.
like
And,
it's
like,
okay
to
if this
Armand's
changes.
To Armand's point was like, you see the person who's like being their gregarious self or that they're like silly self, and you're like, oh, that's my silly husband, and you love that instead of being like, oh, that's my fucking silly husband again.
He'll
Right?
he'll
It's like,
serious up one day.
right.
Yeah.
It's like you got to see the person for exactly who they are, accept that and love that, and not try to manipulate it and change it to your whims.
That's a very common
Yeah.
thing.
When they're friends, like in the earlier stages of relationships than we are, like they always like, I like them, but there's these issues, like these are the issues or problems I see that could, make this from not grow any further. And I don't know. I think every relationship has those on both sides. They have their own issues, and like, you just have to choose, like, are those the issues that you want? Like, the problems that you might foresee, and just be like, yeah, I'm okay with those. Like I get down with those.
Totally. And can
being
you
issues.
can you see the issues in like with a smirk? I think that's like
Yeah.
key. It's like you see them as idiosyncrasies and something that's kind of silly, that's like a uniquely theirs, instead of seeing it as a flaw.
Yeah, like I'll give you an example in mind. Like I always joke that like Yessie and I are going to parent very differently. Like it's going to be almost comical, even when it comes to like the dog, right? But like she provides a part that like I probably couldn't do, and there's probably a part that she just couldn't get herself to do, and it'll be probably excruciating at times, to like be somewhat at odds like at how we parent, but at the same time it's probably good.
Yeah, I was just having that conversation with a friend of ours who was like, man, I'm so like worried we're going to be very different parents. And I was like, no, that's good. That's great. Like it provides a really interesting balance for the child, like two completely different ways of dealing with the world. And they'll pick up parts of each of you that they like, and some of them that aren't.
And we have friends
great
that
either.
couples that parent very differently as well. Like they're always, but they make it work, and it's good.
Can I talk to you, Armand, about a concern that I have about myself and with Mina? Basically, like when we have a kid on the way, and I've noticed, like there are these like fundamental factors in a relationship that can cause strife, like religious differences, financial differences, like things, or like how you view fidelity
Or family
stuff. Like these are like things that can break a relationship. One thing that has come into my mind recently is like the way you parent your child can become like this, like really like this real point of friction. And I know that within the Mina and myself dynamic, I picture this spectrum, like it's like a horizontal spectrum between exposure to things and protection from things. And I think I know myself that I'm like the type that wants to expose
You're like
the
throw
kid
'em
to
in.
things, even though that brings about risk and certain dangers.
Yeah.
And Mina is more the type to be like protect against, and those are competing ideologies. We happen to be sort of like moderate. We've talked about this. We're kind of moderate, but I have seen where this type of thing can actually lead to pretty big problems. And like in your experience, has that been an easy thing to navigate? Like, did you get alignment beforehand, or is this something that you just like found along the way?
A little bit of both. Probably mostly along the way, because you really don't know what it's going to actually be like until it's real. Because you think you are a certain way until the reality sets in. So I thought I would be the exposure one, and she would be the protective one as the mom. But given that we have a girl, I'm the one sometimes being like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Should she be doing that? And that's unsafe. And she's like, oh, she needs exposure to this stuff, and she'll figure it out. And I'm like, what? This is she gonna choke on the food or something? Is this safe? I'm like constantly worried, and I think it's because it's a girl for sure. So I'm a little more protective than I thought I would be, but I think you end up figuring it out. I think, look, like Jordan Peterson talks about, like people and differences in relationship. You can't be too similar, and you can't be too different. There's a sweet spot where you have some opposing differences and they balance each other out. If you're way too fundamentally different or you're way too fundamentally similar, you're kind of going to get into excessive levels of conflict all the time.
Yeah.
And the problem with people being too alike, that can actually work really well sometimes if they communicate really well. If things are just like streamlined and simple and you just read each other well, that can work okay. But sometimes that can create interpersonal conflict in terms of character. But if you're too different, that's the dangerous one. If you're way too different. So it just depends where you are on the spectrum. You might have to shift, and she might have to shift. And that's why they say marriage is compromise.
Can I bring up a few things that I remember that seem pretty relevant? Do you guys remember this John Gottman study talking about bids for affection?
That's where I got the eye rolling thing from.
Yeah, so bids for affection can be small or big, verbal, nonverbal. So like a 2x2 matrix. And it could be as simple as saying like, hey, whatever happened in that situation at work? Or can you pass the water? Like those are still technically bids for affection, and it's basically like an opportunity to connect. They can be small, big, verbal, nonverbal. And there's like 3 ways he says they respond. You could turn towards, acknowledging the bid, like basically like drop what put down the phone, turn towards them, and like turn towards. You could turn away, like kind of ignore, dismissive, or you could turn against, like basically get argumentative and against it. And he said he could watch couples for a couple hours and figure out their success rate based just solely on bids for affection and the types of responses that the other gave.
And he talks about like body language, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more conscious of that.
How they speak about each other.
Yeah.
When the other one's not in the room. And he could predict like divorce rates.
Like at like 90% accuracy.
I forget the stat, but it was definitely like over 50%. Might be like I think it was like 80%. That if one of the spouses like rolls their eyes, at all, like frequently, it's basically a guaranteed, like, 80% something divorce rate.
And then you mentioned some things. There's a Gary Chapman book. I have it. It's called Things I Wish I Would Have Known Before We Got Married. And it's all those like other things that you don't think about when you're in the selection phase. Like, do we align on like risk tolerance, how we view money, religion, family? Most people, it's not a non-issue. But anyway, you can get the most out of that book by just reading the table of contents and like, okay, those are the categories. Like at some point I should probably make sure we kind of align on those things.
You brought up a couple topics though, Eric, of like areas where there can be friction, and one is parenting. The other one is like financial, or like the religious thing, or like a family thing. These are all areas where like if people are too far apart,
They're deal breakers.
oh, it can be an absolute deal breaker. And one of the things that we were discussing in the Discord community, I think it was in the lounge, was just like money and like financial challenges that people come to a relationship with. Everyone is basically a product of like how they grew up for the most part when it comes to money. And so a lot of people come with a lot of money trauma and a lot of limiting beliefs. And we were talking about like Ramit Sethi and a lot of the tools that he has. He's got a great podcast where he sits down with couples and talks through their money issues and helps them talk through their goals. I mean, if you've got one person who's spending out of fear and getting into debt and doesn't know how to manage money, and the other one's trying to direct the ship in a certain direction and checking the thing and got the tools in the spreadsheet, you're in a very difficult situation. Like, that's not an easy situation, because no matter how hard one person works, or even if one person is the majority breadwinner, if there's a hole in the boat, that's a problem. No matter how fast the boat's moving, if someone's like, just not moving with you and not co-captaining, that can create big problems. And so I was sharing about that, discussing about that. There's a lot of different things that can hurt love, that can take your eye off. Like in the beginning, you didn't have to worry about what your freaking opinions were about money or what your money trauma was, because you took her on a date, you paid, every once in a while she did something for you, and everything was, fucking honky-dory. Then when you commingle finances and you commingle a house and you commingle a bathroom, some people might just argue over a bathroom and how clean the bathroom is and where the shit goes and how organized one person is. That can break a relationship. And then all of a sudden you're arguing over that instead of flirting and being in love, and things can unravel very, very quickly.
I got some comments from the chat.
Yeah.
Laura says, sounds like Eric just listened to Esther Perel's interview on Huberman. Great episode. Corby says, I have to say the prolonged relationship segment where the camera remains on Eric and Armand with call out to mating in captivity is chef's kiss, but definitely enhanced by the lighting behind them.
Nice.
Let's see. Corby also says, bid for affection are huge, but if your partner can't read those bids, like partners with ADD, you need to adjust the perspective. Laura also chimes in, his 4 horsemen in a relationship, I think that's Gottman, model has saved me on multiple occasions. And Outlaw Pinball says 13 years, still a rookie.
Outlaw pinball.
What you got, bud? Couple decades? We didn't talk about love languages either. Like, that's another really easy
it's
way.
like a 4-hour discussion.
Yeah, love
But
language.
that's just such an easy
I think
way
love
to, like,
languages is a real thing, and it
It's a real
deserves its
thing.
own segment, because that helped me so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just slap that ass, right, Arlen?
I mean,
It's his love language.
yeah,
Physical
it is.
touch.
Physical touch. And, you get a little smirk out of them, like a little woohoo, and, make her feel like she's 22 again. It's good. I like it. What do you
like
got
it
on
too.
this, Steve-O?
Oh, I'm just listening right now.
All right.
Like
You
my-
got something.
He's in sponge mode.
Longest relationship is like 1/7 your current relationship. So
You've been in a relationship now for a while.
I have, but it's a fraction of
It's
you.
one-
and-
So what?
Literally a
There's-
1/7 fraction.
Yeah. And in no prior relationship did I feel like I ended that and I was like, I could give some good advice on this. So hopefully in a couple of years,
Yeah.
we do a new episode. and I'm
We'll
like,
we'll revisit this.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's a good time and good place to wrap. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. I see a lot of you
Yes.
guys still hanging with us. And a lot of you guys, I see it in the data, watch the videos but aren't subscribed. Gasp. So
what percentage?
What?
Do you
Quite
know
a
the
bit.
percentage?
more than 30%.
Not subscribed to the YouTubes?
I know. So, gentleman's handshake or gentlewoman's handshake.
Yes.
Let's subscribe if
Is
you don't
Matt
mind.
Metzler in the live chat right now?
He might be.
He texted me.
Okay, so where's he at? What's he doing?
We got an Alfalfian in town?
I
great.
think all I said to him was yes.
It's got to be
exclamation mark.
church to give the proper.
Okay.
San Diego welcome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, like the video if you haven't already. And otherwise, wait, are we going to do this next week? When are you guys leaving?
Should we?
What?
Oh wait,
Should we not?
is next
Yeah.
week?
We're all, 3 of us are going to Hawaii.
I don't leave till.
Oh no, I leave Wednesday.
You leave Wednesday?
You do?
Yeah.
I leave Friday.
I leave.
Wow.
All right. We'll figure it out.
Discrepancy.
But otherwise, we'll see you here next Wednesday.
No, we'll
Love you
be there.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Adios.
Peace.